Hello there, beautiful people. Welcome to another episode of Funky Marketing Podcast. Today is just yours truly, only me, and I'm talking about the topic that's kind of interesting, and I want to get into something that I saw this morning and is something that I've been thinking about a lot. And I saw a post from Rand Fishkin. You all know Rand, always talking super smart stuff, and he shared an image from the Spark Toro, his company, that reveals kind of like a fascinating insights into disconnect between audience influence points or inner circle or a budget allocation outer circle. So where are companies spending their money on? And on the other hand, where are we actually spending our time and how are we buying? So that's kind of interesting. And where I'm getting at is that there's a huge disconnect. There's a huge gap between audience influence and where companies spend their money. We're gonna talk about specifics and how do we do it, but think about it. Where do you actually spend time? Is it searching on Google? Or are you spending time consuming content on social media, getting into the smaller communities, maybe consuming content on, LinkedIn, on TikTok, on YouTube especially? Think about this stuff. Or you are spending time going to the offline events maybe. All these things are highly, highly important. So this is what I'm thinking about. And on the other hand, where are companies spending their money, right? If you think about it, they're usually closing the demand. And what that means, usually they go with Google search, spending time over there, or doing another type of advertising, the one on social media, and going through that. I'll end a couple of conclusions afterwards and the end, so bear with me, but let me go through all these things and just kind of talk it through, right? So when we look at the data that Rand shared, the top observation says that social feed dominates. Like Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter are basically driving the significant influence, around 15%, and it seems like marketers are allocating budgets accordingly, right? However, are these efforts yielding true engagement, or are we just chasing impressions? That's kind of something to think about. I see a lot of people optimize their content for virality, for impressions, but what actually happening is that those types of content that connect gets more and less reach and impressions on LinkedIn, especially if you talk about LinkedIn. And it's kind of interesting because that you need to have content which goes outside of that niche content that actually converts, to be able to get your content that converts seen by more relevant people, right? So, and that's kind of is the trap. But usually the way I see it and the way I see marketing in general works as an R&D, as an experimentation phase. When you experiment, you get the feedback, you see which types of content converts, which topics get the most engagement from the important people, and then you optimize based on that, right? Your audience, your target audience, help you optimize your content. Then it's good when you create the process, then you automate everything and you move to the next experiment and you start doing it, right? But it takes from 12 months to 2 years to kind of nail the content platform fit for the right audience, having the right content on the exact platform. But if you do it more frequently and you test different types of content, different types of posts, if there's more of you inside the company doing that, it could be achieved much faster. So this is what I'm talking about. But still, companies are making it harder because they want to push advertising in the game, so they're lowering the reach. And as many people get active on the platform, what is happening is that the reach is getting lower and lower, which is kind of normal in the life cycle of certain platform. And so one thing I want you to think about is co-creation of the content, right? Co-creation of the content. What do I actually mean? Creating content with your target audience, with your partners, with your peers, with your colleagues, because it makes you stand out in the times when everybody is trying to automate things, when we have AI, we have all kind of things. So think about that. I'll come back to that at the end, but let's move on. So the next thing that is getting a solid 10% when it comes to allocating the budget is industry websites and blogs. And they usually matters, right? This is where people come to convert. And blogs are the place where you educate people, right? It's where you have educational content, and when you have resources, meaning one is ungated. Blogs, educational content, and resources are gated, so you take somebody from education to the next step. But what I usually say is that the websites are the places where people convert. The way I like to look websites as an outlet, right? They are already, you already done the awareness phase, you created the demand, you engage with them, your customers, they engage with you, and then when they're ready to buy, they come to your website, and it's all clear over there, how you're positioning yourself, what's your message, they recognize themselves, and they convert, right? So this is how I see it in a B2B space. Marketing has the goal to facilitate the sales and get people, potential customers, to come to you inbound over the website, convert, and then sales closes the sale. So a solid 10% of the audience influence comes from industry-specific websites and blog. And yet, many marketing strategies fail to adequately invest in quality content on these platforms, right? In this case, let's see, we are spending time on some portals, educating ourselves about business, about finance, if we talk about private things, about, I don't know, sports, following different stuff. And marketers need to find a way to leverage those places when we actually spend time, right? When our customers are spending time. And if your brand isn't leveraging thought leadership on those platforms, you're basically leaving trust and conversions on the table. So I told you, like, this is where the conversions happen, not only on your website, but also on other websites. So it also takes us back to co-creation of the content, right? Try to see the first one that we talk about, social, is, where are your audience located, who are they following, who are they interacting with, and try to co-create content with those people. So kind of go like influencer marketing, and in B2B, it's mostly underrated and still just coming into the B2B. When it comes to the industry websites, blogs, business portals, all those kind of things, you should know what your audience is consuming when they are spending time, not only related to what you sell, but generally spending time. You should know those places and find a way to leverage them. So, okay, so that's the second one. The third one, podcast subreddits, Reddit and Slack, all Slack groups and communities. So you should look closely at the impact of niche platforms, such as like podcasts, like this one, B2B strategy content. Subreddits, when you have like a small communities, all of them super niche, super personalized, and you need to get involved step by step to know how they are, how are you allowed to comment, how you're allowed to share. Somewhere you can share the link, somewhere you cannot share the link, somewhere you need to like add 10 comments, engage, then you can share the links and whatever it is. And also Slack, WhatsApp groups, communities, also maybe Facebook groups. I don't know if they are active, but yeah, those kind of things. Also Circle groups. I see a lot of communities now on Circle. These are the smaller in the grand scheme of things, so 2 to 4%, but hold immense power for specific communities. So the question remains: are you connecting with micro communities in an authentic way, or sticking to broad-based campaigns? What does it mean? We didn't have small business communities a few years ago. I think they emerged after the COVID pandemic. So what is here important is that how are we buying in B2B? That's important thing to ask ourselves. So we are buying by asking on social. We are buying by asking inside the small communities, or calling a couple of peers, friends, people in the same position with the same experience, and asking them, do you know this platform, or do you know this person, or do you know this agency, or do you know this product, whatever it is. So small communities, it's the places where we have at least 10 people that we follow and we trust, so we can ask over there and get the answers. Marketing has the goal that your name appears in all these conversations that happen on social, inside the small communities, and when you reach a phone and call somebody, you want to hear your name comes up, right? So think about those things. Where are your target audience, your customers spending time? This is what you should think about. Another one is AI tools, right? That's something that's emerging. It's sexy. It's now coming up. Platforms like ChatGPT, Claude, AI-driven discovery tools are barely getting any budget, possibly less than 1% or around 1%, even though they're increasingly shaping the audience research and brand discovery. So if you're not using this for insights, you're luckily missing out on the next wave on influence. Basically, if you did SEO in the past, or if you're now creating content on social, on your websites, on podcasts, whatever it is, AI is just connecting the dots in the background. And we see that when we ask questions on a website in self-reported attribution form, how did you hear about us? We get more and more answers that says ChatGPT. So it will emerge. Usually it's the keywords that the company is ranking for already on Google. So nothing new. They're just connecting the dots, as I mentioned to you. And you can, I was getting those insights and asking people, what did you type in ChatGPT? And this is exactly what they told me. They typed the same keywords that my website is ranking for, and that people are typing on Google to come to the website. So this is what we can see in Google Search Console. Those same keywords or phrases are people typing into the ChatGPT when they find your company. Also something to think about. When it comes to conferences and events, despite the old school reputation, like, oh, whoever goes to conferences and events, it's extremely important, and it can change your business upside down. Trust me that. If you are building online and didn't go to the offline events, change that now if you can. Go and talk to people. This is what influence around 7% of the audience. But when it comes to the budget that companies are allocating, it doesn't seem to match the trust and relationship building potential by the conferences bring. So there isn't much higher when it comes to building trust than meeting in person, seeing that person, seeing the people from the company. How do they communicate? How do they look? How do they talk? Are they sure in what they're saying? Are they the same as you see them online? Does he have the same vibe, the same building? Do you feel the culture? All those kind of things. Did they help you offline? Did you drink a beer together? It's extremely important. Extremely important. So, and still the disconnect, the gap between audience influence, what influences our decision making, is totally off to where companies spend their time. So like, if you look at it, Google search gets 33% of the company's budget. So closing the demand, right? They assume people go to Google search, but it gets only the small percent of your audience over there who are ready to buy now. And then social ads takes 9% of the budget, significant portion of it. Why? Because they're measurable, scalable, and it's widely used. And okay, social ads can be a nice addition to what you are already building organically, right? The content you're building organically, and then you just use advertising to make sure that the right people are consuming the content. That makes sense, right? But usually that's not what they do. Companies use it differently. So it means they're over investing in places when you don't get the return of investment as you would if you build in places when people are actually spending time and using that journey, how people are getting to buy the product, how are getting to the sale, right? So it's spending time on social, interacting with people, engaging, educating. We go to YouTube, we go to portals, we consume content in a different ways through the apps, through these kind of things. We interact with others outside of social, inside the small business niche communities. We go to the offline events where we meet those people, where we bond further and we connect stronger relationships. And companies are underutilizing that. They invest in totally different things, which are, I would say, the matter of the past. I don't think, we should stop investing in any of these things, but we should know how to invest in it and when we invest in it. So here are a couple of things that I'm thinking of. Like a couple of takeaways. You should rebalance your approach. PPC and social ads, they still work. Don't get me wrong, but don't ignore the power of niche communities and the power of thought leadership on platforms like LinkedIn. Invest in the influence and not just in the noise. Let's be the loudest one out there, the one who is visible the most, or the one who gets most engagement. That's not the goal. If your audience values in-depth stuff like podcasts who elaborate on a certain topic in an hour, thorough blogs when you go in depth about specific topics, events dedicated to specific topics again, then prioritize those channels for genuine connection with them. And try to think beyond that visibility. Visibility without trust, it's meaningless. You need to think about which platforms are trust-building platforms, like LinkedIn, like Reddit, like subreddits over there, or curated events. They might require more effort, and they really do, because you need to know the platform, you need to know the audience, you need to invest more, but they often drive higher quality leads. So this is what should be on your mind, not just get any leads. I told you, like, the best way to do it is marketing facilitates the sale until somebody is ready to buy step by step. And then they come to the website to convert. They click on the website and they say, I want to talk with sales because I'm educated, I'm aware, I have the budget, and I'm ready to buy. Your product is one of the 3 things I'm investing this year. Why? Because you've proven to me from week to week, from month to month, that you are the solution that I'm after, the right solution for my problem. And that's why I'm coming to buy from you. So some questions you should think about and should ask yourself is, are you really confident that your budget aligns with where your audience is truly influenced? I wouldn't say a lot of you can agree, especially if you don't have self-reported attribution and you don't know what's actually happening on those platforms. Then, which platforms have delivered unexpected value for you in the past? Do you actually know that? Can you track that? And also, how do you measure the return of investment of influence versus the return of investment of just clicks. That's extremely important to think about, and to find ways to measure those things the right way. Not measure everything, but measure the important things so you know what's actually going on. Rethink the way you approach the marketing influence and try to make every dollar count. Those are all important things. But for the end of what I want to tell you, think about how you can co-create content with creators, with your peers, with your customers, and how can you create the content that will kind of make a growth loop, that will allow you to not just you be the one who are distributing the content, then using the advertising, and it ends over there. Maybe if the customers are satisfied, they will do it. But try to find a way to come up with ways to create growth loops when it goes in the circle, and your customers are becoming the ones who are further doing the awareness for you, engaging with you, when your peers are the one who are doing the work for you, right? Those are the things to think about and to invest. So that was it from this for today's topic. Let me know in the comments if you have any thoughts, or how do you see these things? Are we aligned? Have you actually tracked? Are you confident that your budget aligns with where your audience is truly influenced? And what is some unexpected value that you saw in the past, and from which platform it happens, and what actually happened on those platforms? Let me know in the comments. Also, make sure, if this is valuable, to share it further, share it on the platform that you use with your friends, with your colleagues, and follow Funky Marketing, Funky B2B Marketing podcast on Apple, on Spotify, on YouTube, or whichever platforms you are using to consume content. That's it for today. See you on another episode. Keep it funky, as I always say, and cheers.